So over the last 20 years, OBE has collaborated with a very unique supply chain, and it's probably the most unique, or one of the only organic beef supply chains in the world that is still owned by producers. In our values, we try to return as much value as possible to producers. We're now a bigger company than we were 20 years ago. We're a multi-billion-dollar company exporting organic beef from Australia all over the world. Our largest market is the United States, but we also see a lot of potential in Asia and the Middle East, and obviously we also sell into the domestic market in Australia. There's certainly huge potential for the sale of organic beef around the world as governments work more closely together and allow greater and freer access. The opportunities for the sale of organic beef is increasing, and I believe it will increase exponentially. There are a lot of more consumers, our population's growing, there are more consumers with disposable income. Those consumers are asking for safe food. Our message is conventional producers should be thinking about going organic. Organic is an opportunity for them to value add what they're doing on farm.
We're 150 kilometres south of Jarlable. My father and I have properties there. My property is 25,000 acres and my father's property is 50,000 acres, and we sort of run it in conjunction with each other. My country is generally breeding country, so I run 250 to 300 breeders on there, and then I take the weaners away to sometimes my father's place or other organic adjustment to get them up to spec to put into OBE. Well, one of the big advantages for me is that I know where my cattle are going to go. I know I've got a good market for my cattle, and I know that I can sell a broad range of cattle into OBE. It's been especially helpful for me in the last 3 to 4 years when it's been dry, because I've been able to send in cattle that haven't quite made the spec, such as manufacturing cow, and still be able to get a good market for my cattle when the conventional market was very sad. The OBE's I've been fortunate enough that OBE's taken me and my wife recently on a trip to America, and we've found over there that consumers are very aware of where their beef is coming from, and the drive for organic overseas is really big. You know, you go to a supermarket like Fairways and there's just aisles and aisles and aisles of organic, and people just want to know where their food is coming from.
I think primarily for us, when we looked at that role of being organic producers, I think it was a good fit with our own thoughts on grazing and a lifestyle on the land.
Yes, we've got 2 properties that are certified organic. We've got one in very southwest corner of Queensland, and we've got one on the Birdsville track in South Australia. That's Mungarani, and the one we're at's at Epsilon, and they're both organic certified.
Well, that was part of the reason why I was speaking at the forum today, is to help educate producers and the industry at large at just how impactful social media can be. And I like to say social communications instead of just social media, so people can frame it in a context of communicating, having a dialogue, having a relationship with people. And it's incredibly important, especially for a brand like OBE Organic, who exports to countries all over the world. They're here in Australia, but they're selling in supermarkets in the United States, in the Middle East, parts of Asia. How do you reach those people, consumers, especially in those instances, if you're not physically there to implement big marketing campaigns, or perhaps you don't have a budget to implement advertising and that sort of thing? This is a direct connection to the people who already buy your product or are likely to buy your product.
So we do that in a workshop format, where we get guest speakers in who talk about specific topics that are involved with the actual module, and then they do a self-assessment, and we talk about that self-assessment process and how we can help people out. The beauty about the whole GrazingBMP program is it's been designed to go anywhere in Australia. It's got generic sort of standards that can be applied to whether you grow cattle in the Northern Territory right down to where you grow cattle in Tasmania. The days of the beef industry going where it was just a lifestyle are well and truly gone. It's a business now. You've got to be looking at how you can cut costs to become more profitable and to make more money, to become sustainable. And that's what GrazingBMP is all about, how you can do that. You mightn't even need to change anything with your business. It might be going perfectly fine, but this gives you a tool to look at ways of trying to to go ahead into the future.
So 5 years ago we put a program together designed by graziers, for graziers, looking at what is an acceptable standard, what's below standard and what's the high end of town. Now we're working with the communities right around Queensland to deliver a set of standards that we can underpin our performance with and then defend our industry and drive extension and review and research into the right components of the industry. So what we've done is we've broken the grazing business into 5 principles. We've got soil management, grazing land management, people in business, animal production and animal welfare. Those components of a business, we've based the standards on principles of grazing. So you can be right up in the Gulf country or down in the softer coastal country. You can be in a high rainfall area, you can be in a low rainfall area. It doesn't matter because it's the principles of growing cattle for sale that we've based our standards on. There's 150 standards broken across the 5 modules and they all interbind together so that we've got an overview of how you map and plan your business. And what we've tried to do is bring all those pieces of information into one platform. At the moment we've got about 1,500 graziers using this platform and everyone independently reviews their performance against the benchmarks. That gives us an outcome and we can find the key areas of underperformance that we can then put the government's funds, our industry funds and our research funds into addressing.
So the Livestock Biosecurity Network was initiated in 2012 through funding from the 3 peak industry councils for livestock industries, the Cattle Council of Australia, Sheep Meat Council and Wool Council. Part of our role was develop uptake of awareness and based implementation of practical biosecurity solutions on farm. And as a global phenomenon is a reducing amount of funds available for public animal health services. And part of the industry's response to that was to develop our organisation in a 3-year pilot period to uptake more extension and engagement work on biosecurity specific issues at the farm level. We have a really great synergy with the GrazingBMP program. People undertake benchmarking processes through BMP and we know at the moment there's only 9% of producers that are above industry standard in the GrazingBMP process, which actually means they have a documented plan. So post benchmarking, the Livestock Biosecurity Network tools enables farmers to develop a documented farm plan and therefore raise their benchmark standard from below or at industry standard to above industry standard. And so our goal is to raise over the next 12 months the number of above industry standard plans from 9% as it is at the moment to 12% or more. And we have a network of over about 1,500 people now who are uptaking our regular newsletters and stories and we're hoping to build that over a longer period of time.